back now.
Check, check.
Yeah, we back now with the sound.
We back.
Okay, you're good, bro. Chill out again.
Good to go. Sorry, we just had a little glitch.
Okay, yeah.
We're alright.
Where do we pick it up from? I don't remember where
we're gonna pick it up from
New Jack.
Mom,
Yeah.
Dad. Dad doesn't really like. He wasn't really too much.
Pops wasn't about it. When I called my dad and told him that I was going the next day to buy my SP 1200, he was like, "It's a lot of money to spend on something you're not going to use in a few months."
Yeah, basically just drowning it before it's like telling you like.
Yeah,
hey, man,
and that stuck with me. Actually, it stuck with me in a positive way in lessons and how I treat my son. But that's some other stuff.
Right.
But like, I still own that SP, and it's worth twice as much what I paid for it.
No.
And
that's rare to find.
yeah, but Mom Dukes was like she was cool. She was like, and it was literally you know late '90s. She was like, if you want to do this, like find a way to have other streams of income and let this grow. And yeah, by the time I was 22, I'd quit my day job and I haven't had a job since. You know what I mean?
Let's take it right back to around that era too, like between the 97 to 99, because I remember my first time meeting you, and I remember that was through my former wife at the time. But remember my first time meeting you, and just like you said, you used to work at lounges, and I remember the lounge that I met you at, 7 West.
Word, yeah.
Ooh, I remember this is a lounge in like was it by Young and Wellesley? I think
It's on Charles Street. Charles,
right there,
just off of Young.
Right on the offside, like on the side street.
Yeah.
And one of the most comfortable places I've ever been in. The lighting, just like how inside here, that lighting had the dims, and then all I could hear, remember climbing up these stairs and just hearing beats and just rare beats going off, and I'm just like, who's that? And then I'm just hearing like, oh man, that's a friend of mine that he plays here, and I know that's one of his mixes that they're playing right now, and I'm like, really? Boom, next thing I know, you come around the corner, hey, what's going on? Hey, Al, like, you know, remember you said the hey, and then boom, and I'm looking, I'm like, then you said, she goes, yeah, this is Fase, that's who you're hearing. I'm like, wow, it's like, remember I was freaking out.
Yeah.
What was one of the specialties that was right there, man, at that place? It was I think it was the apple crumble or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember, man, you brought us one too, and I was just like, wow. And ever since that, I fell in love with that place, and then it was just the music that you played, the way you.
Dude, actually, you reminded me. I'll take it back to some of my first gigs, where they had an African center inside the Science Center, right? And I met this woman Shay when one of my first jobs at like 16. I was working at Second Cup at Young and Eglinton, and I met this woman Shay, and she like kind of ran the African center at the Science Center. So they would do these like Afro-Canadian film festivals and stuff. So they would have like a little after party, like early, like 8 to 10 p.m. after party of the film fest. And so I was 17, 18, but those were some of my first gigs, and it was an older black crowd. So I was just playing all old school, funk, soul.
Yeah.
And, but that like literally was where I cut my teeth because I was buying all those records, trying to find those records and playing them because of breaks and samples. But playing it to an older crowd that lived through some of those records, I really got to learn more about which records were joints, and how to play them properly. So that's early. That's like 96, 95, 96, 97. And those were some of my early gigs before I ever was getting residencies in clubs and stuff.
What were some of the producers that inspired you to get into producing?
Of course, Primo, Pete Rock, 100%. Like Pete Rock, Q-Tip. I was and still am. I love
hip hop.
Well, I love the combination, the multiple samples. And that kind of went its way out mid-90s because of sample clearances, right? Like guys couldn't sample 4 records and clear 4 records for one song on a 15-track album. So I think the pressures, the but I'm still in love with hip-hop that finds 2 loops that go perfectly like they were meant to be together. And that was the whole drive for me as a producer and as a DJ. Like, you're flipping through records and find two things that, you know, that's why as a DJ, I was always into the blends. I was always into cross-genre blending, creative stuff to make things work musically. It just like they meant to go together was really important to me, and what's what I like. So any like hip-hop production, yeah, like Tribe stuff, De La, that stuff always was huge influence.
You know what? You're one of the people too that I remember, and this was rare at the time too, because I mean, we all used to hear the beats from Tribe Called Quest and stuff like that, but then even in that later part of the '90s, when you know, you're one of those guys that I've always heard play like Dilla joints.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, you were like,
you're one of those guys that inspired me into like and then that's what made me
played a lot of
research.
Detroit.
Like, wait a minute, I'm hearing a lot of stuff that wait a minute, that was Dilla and the whole Uma experience back then. Like,
Yeah.
So like,
Yeah.
like, yeah. So I get it with the Primo and so forth. Like,
yeah, I like Dilla was, you know, obviously he was so ahead of his time, just bringing the drums up front and simplifying it. So I think he benefited from that area where guys went down to just sampling one record. He did it so much better than other people.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, his career is something special, because I always say this to people, like, he went in like literally a 10-year span, went from being like a bedroom producer to not only working with all of his idols, but like completely influencing them all in some way, which is, well, we won't see that again for a hell of a long time, I'm sure.
True. Yeah.
You know? Yeah. But yeah, that earlier, so when I started DJing out and when I started getting popular in the early 2000s, I was big into the New York indie stuff coming out at the time, like the real independent vinyl stuff. So I was always pushing underground stuff that people didn't know. At the same time, I was pushing the original breaks and stuff. Yeah. And I always played for B-boys, always wanted B-boys at my parties, always tried to school people to the older stuff. And then I was huge into funk and funk 45s. Yeah. And it was always the goal to make an environment where all that was acceptable. Or at least if you weren't feeling one, you might eventually, if I keep putting and bumping your head.
The spot
because NASA was really where it kind of resurrected.
That's where it all started.
And you had lineups.
Oh,
you made Tuesday night a thing.
Absolutely.
Like, literally in this city.
Absolutely.
It was a thing. Like, if you wanted to go to some real dope hip hop night and see some special shit that you, because a lot of people don't understand, NASA was like,
it was tiny.
It was tiny.
It was tiny. So you had to come early. So that means we were packed by 10:30.
Yeah, packed by 10:30.
Be dead of winter snowstorm, and a lineup down the street.
A lineup down the street, waiting to get in.
Waiting to get in.
And we're trying to break in there.
Yeah. You were breaking in there, and it wasn't no wider than this.
Yeah,
right?
I believe we're one of the two first like street. I would say street dancers inside there for like that time. I know some of the other house dancers were there. Like
everyone passed through. It was a hub.
Yeah. But I remember like we were one of the first ones to like really take
you
phase.
You introduced us to them through, like you guys were saying earlier, the restaurant, you know, 7 West, and us hearing the music and being like, yo, who is that? Like, you know what I mean? Who's running that mix? And just that night just became. So, did you think it was gonna turn out?
That was the plan. Look, at that point in my career, so I had been DJing out. Like, I still consider myself kind of the new jack, even though from '97 to 2000, I was DJing 5 nights a week. Yeah. But people didn't know who I was. So I started, my first residency was Ivy Lounge on Friday nights. I was doing that. Then I got Wednesday nights at the B-side, which was above Fez Boutique.
Yeah, B-side,
right?
Yeah.
So, and then they put me Thursdays at Gypsy Co-op.
Yep,
this is like 97.
With Fathom, right?
That was way before that.
Way
though.
before that.
This is not like, this is 97.
Oh, wow.
This is, so this is like, this is pre-NASA. This is everything. So I was doing, Fridays, like Wednesday, Thursday, Fridays, somewhere else too. But then I got the Tuesdays. So I was DJing 4 to 5 nights a week. And I was still thinking that people didn't know who I was. Nassau, I got. People always think that it was 90s, but it started 2000. Started February 2000, and like right after New Year's, it was Tariq from D4C. Introduced
I was just trying to remember the name. Tariq. Word up, shout out to those guys.
Yeah, so because they used to come check me at Gypsy on Thursdays. And again, like I wasn't playing much hip hop of these things. I was playing jazz and everything else, and those guys loved that, and so they would check me out. But Tariq he's the one that he was walking to Gypsy on a Thursday night and was like, dude, this brand new spot opened up. It's called Nas. It's crazy. They got like Ataris in there and shit. He was like, and I was like, word, did they have nights open? He was like, word, yeah, let's find out. I'll bring you by. And he brought me by. He introduced me to Ben, and Ben was like, I'm doing a little wine and cheese thing early next Tuesday. Why don't you DJ so I can hear you? So I came back, did an early, like it was like an 8 to 10 p.m. wine and cheese thing for their friends. He loved me, and he was like, well, let's give Tuesdays a shot. And then I literally had the concept, and the name Footwork,
That's what caught us.
Well, that was my goal, because I wanted a night, because I wanted to start playing more hip hop, but I wanted b-boys there, and I wanted to be able to play breaks and originals and stuff that I wanted people that would appreciate that, and people that didn't, then they would see it, like they had to see it.
Though,
right?
But here's the crazy thing: it wasn't b-boys and b-girls that all showed up.
It wasn't at all.
We got there, and it was like
a mix of everything.
What the hell? This is like everybody's there from. Graffiti artists, you know what I mean?
So many DJs would pass through there. Like guys that I knew of, but I didn't know, but like drum and bass.
Having trouble loading.
Drum and bass DJs and guys like Marcus Visionary. A lot of guys would come through and just give me my respect. They're like, yo, you throw down.
Yeah.
But the whole goal really was like Footwork. I had around a few years before that, I was in New York City, and Bobito Garcia had a store called Footwork, and I went there. He sold used shoes and records and other like hip hop stuff. And I just went in there and I was like, Footwork. I'm like, that would be a dope name for a night. So I shouts to Bob, because we're friends. We've played together since then. But I was like, I kind of teefed it from him. But I knew, because I wanted a word that would bring people in, and I meant to bring the original flyer, and it had a guy doing a windmill on it and shoes on the flip, and you know what I mean. Do you remember the original cards that were like the hard plastic cards that they would give out?
Yeah, man. That was, and that turned into. So then, when did you turn it into the infamous Andy's Pool Hall? Because that's when it really...
So that went from 2000 to 2004, and then Ben and the Nassau crew sold Nassau, right? New owners, we were trying to keep it going, but it was just a different vibe with the new owners. So I like instantly knew. I was like, yo, and I knew we could go bigger, right? So I hooked up a meeting with Andy Pool Hall, and we made the change, and the flip was seamless, man. Like really, same people started coming, and more started coming, and it grew from there. And I always heard some complaints. You know, some people thought, oh, it's no different than NASA, this and that, but we grew immensely. Like it was a Tuesday night, and we were packing 250, 300 people in there with bar sales over 10K.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, so it's okay. Don't worry about it. We're good.
Yeah. So, the reason to leave was kind of forced my hand, but it ended up being a really good thing.
Yeah. It's a lounge. Stuff happens. We're relaxed. We're just documenting. If something, you've got to turn the thing on. It's all good. Yeah. Okay. So, and then because that Tuesday night is legendary, especially for the new generation.
It will always be legendary for me.
Like for like the b-boys that came up underneath us now, like the newer generation from the Fam to Emcee, those guys, because those guys came around a lot, and then a lot of bigger heads started coming around. Like we've had some people, we even had the K-Mel, Ken Swift, the names go on.
Dude, people that like
we brought Cool Herc through there. We brought.
Yeah, you even did. He's one of the main guys who even was one of the inspirations for even doing the Blueprint for Life events. Oh yeah. So let's talk about original Blueprint for Life.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's talk about
CZ.
Let's talk about that. Like, what was what made you come up with that kind of like?
You talking the footwork, or are you talking about the blueprint, or what?
The blueprint.
They like
yeah. Was
LA
and LA came up with.
Yeah.
At the time, and then I know she talked to Fase in the beginning, even when she wanted to like post some of the events, like even do like some of the live events featuring the elements.
So there was like live performances, and I was kind of like the semi-resident, right? Like either I don't really remember. But I could have been rotating. Yeah, it was always me and a guest.
On the thing, and you're always on as the resident guy.
Like we had Sims come through. We had the Twins come through. I know Citizen Kane performed one time. I know Whitey Don would be there.
Yeah, Monolith there one time.
Everybody.
And that was for people that don't know. It was at Comfort. It was at Comfort Zone.
Yeah.
So that sort of vibe, and this is late '90s, right? Yeah.
That's dope.
So I loved it because like I love those environments where lots of different things happen. And as a DJ, guys, I gotta like shout out to the DJs that I looked up to. I love opening up for live acts. Like I think it's a real art form.
Yeah.
And that's what influenced me. Like when I used to go to concerts when I was like 15, 16.
Stage shows.
And stage show, but then the DJs that got you in the right mood, I was like, I took that as always a challenge. And
who's your favorite on stage DJ?
Myself.
That's real. That's real. That's true.
Listen.
Shit, you're the best. Go like Sean Price. No. I'm the best.
I'm picky. I'm picky with DJs, man. I'm very, very picky. And I have vivid memories of seeing Scam tear down concert venues. Big up Davin, big up Scam. And X, like at Opera House, at shows at Opera House, and just that energy of like a young crowd anticipating seeing a performance they were there for, and the DJ manifests that and gets you right there was like the best feeling for me. So I always took those, like I love being in those environments with live acts. And I've had my fair share. Like I've opened up for countless legends. Like I've opened up for Nas, De La Soul twice, Roots twice, Afrika Bambaataa, Kool Keith.
Crazy.
Yeah, I remember that.
Licks, like so many.
Wow. So the list goes on.
Opening for Nas at Government, 4,000 people, and LES was his DJ. I think it was Hip Hop Is Dead. Yeah, it was Hip Hop Is Dead tour.
Yeah, I was there for that.
And LES had his turntables in a coffin. Yeah. But he was supposed to do 20 minutes right before Nas came on. And he came on and he was like, yo, bro, you're sick. Just keep going. So he was ducking down behind the coffin and he was just eyeing me. He was like, yeah, just keep going. So they just let me go right till Nas came on, right?
Oh, it's dope.
Yeah.
Sick.
Yeah.
That's real shit right there, man.
Yeah.
That's so real.
So let's move. So, Annie's Pool Hall.
Yeah.
How long did that run for?
That went to 2008. And, it got shut down on some BS that had nothing to do with me, a little pop gunfire in the ceiling.
Yeah, that done it.
And they let me go, which I always had beef with because I was like,
you're the reason that got there, like that vibe.
Listen. So there was some shots fired, like at some point outside of the venue, right?
Yeah.
Someone got hit in the leg, and it was like at 4 a.m. or after it was all done dead. So then the club they were worried. They started metal detecting, right? And we're packing 250. Bar sales are like over 5 figures on a Tuesday night. They're metal detecting. Places rammed out. And the night that happened, homie, whoever he was over by the pool tables and started whipping cue balls or pool balls at some girls or some shit. And I saw it happen from the booth, from like far away. I saw it happening. And the bounce, like there's a bunch of security, right? One of the security dudes was a massive 6'5", like 320 dude. Yeah. And I saw him heading over there to grab, grab the guy, get him out of here.
Yeah.
And he grabbed him, but he was all timid with him. And he was a little guy, right? Like he was a small guy compared to the bouncer. And he had them, but he wasn't like trying to get them out. And the guy was still walking around the club like a rah, rah, rah.
Yeah, yeah.
And he walked all the way around the bar onto the dance floor, and the security was like, come on, let's go. Come on, let's go. And then he pulled out his piece and shot it off in the ceiling, and everyone ran. And I'm like ducking behind a plywood DJ booth like a fool. And so I'm like, you know, and then they fire me and not their security. Kept their security and let the DJ go. You know what I mean?
What the hell is that?
And that's how it goes. And you know, it's typical in this business. But yeah, I'm definitely like, to me, I was like, they knew he was packing. They let him in the club.
Yeah. You
know, they were metal detecting. They were timid around him. They knew he had a piece on him, and they were afraid to take him outside. So he did what he wanted to do. So that was the end of Andy Pool Hall. I moved it to Levesque Block after that.
Yeah.
Transition wasn't as seamless, didn't go as well. And then that lasted for 4 or 5 months maybe. And then I moved it to Wrong Bar. Yeah,
that's right.
And we did the 8 or 9 year anniversary at Wrong Bar. Had Scratch Bastard and Starting From Scratch join me there. And that was crazy.
That was insane.
Yeah.
I was there for that.
Yeah, that was a great night. That was a really good night. And then kept it going to Wrong Bar for a while, and it just kind of ran its course. It was hard. Like, you know, you get lucky when you move from one venue to the next and it grows.
Yeah.
It's always harder, you know. Looking back on it now, I wish when it finished at Andy Pool Hall, I should have probably moved it to above Sneaky D's.
Yeah.
I think I should have kept it in the neighborhood. And gone there. I think it would have kept going, but I moved it a bit too far away from that area, and word didn't spread. I mean, mind you, man, like at this point in my DJ career, you know, I've been doing it full time for like 15 or more years at that point. You know, I don't know. It's hard. It gets difficult. I made my living from DJing, and I never had a manager. I never had a booking agent. I did everything myself.
Yeah.
And, you know what I mean? Sometimes you get stubborn and you don't make the right decisions. You don't have, like, a full team, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so, But I enjoyed, and I was always proud that I was able to do what I did and make a good living, supporting my family, and doing what I love to do, you know?
Yeah. And create a hub for people to come in, create, and be who they want to be on a
absolutely. Absolutely.
And I know these people were dedicated because, again, we're talking about a Tuesday night. You know what I mean? Even when you moved it to Andy's, the lineup was down the street.
It was crazy. It was crazy. I think about that same time, and then like around, like whatever, 2003 or 4 is when I started Alto Basso, Love Movement Mondays with Chaos and Nana.
Yeah.
So like that, my weekend, Alto Basso was the joint, man. That's another joint. Small club, Monday night, lineup down the street. But that was my weekend, man. I was making more money on Mondays and Tuesdays that most guys made on their weekend. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was
weekend.
That
was my weekend.
Yeah. That was like the industry night.
It was pure hip hop vibes.
Pure hip hop vibes.
Like,
though. Wasn't no like, and not to say that, because you played. It's not to say you didn't. You played everything, but you didn't really go into the club banging music. You stayed.
Well, it was a Monday, Tuesday, so you didn't have to, right? You didn't have to, but you like, see, my whole thing, like I love.
You played reggae music. You played.
Yeah, I played reggae. I would play anything that I felt, you know. But I like when you get those nights and then you come with you create your own anthems. Like to me, like, I don't know, Del, tell me if I'm wrong, but like Alto Basso, like Nana and I, it was Biscuits, Ghostface. It was like it was like
get your Dilla too.
Yeah, it was, you know, joints that you would just create.
Fuck the police,
dude. I remember playing Fuck the Police in Nassau. When anytime the police would come in and do a walkthrough, I would play Fuck the Police. Drop the volume. The cops would be right there in front of the DJ booth and drop the volume the whole fucking place. 1, 2, 3, fuck the police. And the cops just kind of like smiling like, yeah. Get the fuck out of here, man. Yeah, I'm telling you.
Speaking of the plane, because I know there was that time too, like when, you know, like pertaining to the vinyl, Vinyl era, the vinyl.
Yes.
Becoming almost obsolete. Well, now it is basically obsolete today in some places. People had to join DJ pools. Like, could you shed some light on that? Like, I mean, a lot of people do not realize for DJs, even like not just here in the city, but especially here in this city, how hard it was for some, especially when that era started to come in, when you started to see CDs, and here it is now. Instead of you getting vinyl to play on a actual turntable, they're actually giving you these new disc thingies.
Yeah, controllers.
And people programming the music into their laptop and stuff.
Like, things change, man.
What has that been like for you? Like,
listen, I was one of the early guys on Serato. Like I was around like 2005, and I was ahead of most guys on that. But I'm a vinyl guy to my death. I still own all my records. You know, I'm somewhere between 10 and 12,000 records in my crib. But
what did you say? How much?
Between 10 and 12,000. Yeah.
Wow.
It's you know, but that's
so that flyer that I put out is real. Let them know.
It's real. That was the old studio. I've split my collection up. I got some up at the cottage now, and my whole setup now, like not the records, but the whole is in my son's room. He's taken over everything. He's got everything in this room. Right? But no, let's stay on the vinyl tip. So this is one thing is like, so I embrace the technology and changing, but I really fully understand how there was a major power shift in parties around that time, right? I'd say like 2004, 2005, and it was because of technology and guys getting laptops and having a whole collection at their fingertips. And I also say it was the smoking ban that had a huge effect on DJs. Because when you, like, especially in this place like NASA, like the smoking ban happened near the end of NASA time, like 2004-ish, I think, right? 2003, 2004, I don't remember exactly when. And when that smoking ban happened, DJs became a little more gutless. You couldn't take as many risks as you used to take because you could literally lose your dance floor. You took a left turn, you dropped something that you wanted to that was a little bit of a risk.
Like off the chain, like a little bit off.
Dude, you would literally see people look at each other like, I don't know this song. They go for smoke, let's go for smoke. And you can literally lose like a good chunk of your dance floor. Right? You combine that with having a laptop and guys not used to that happening, and then them thinking, I'm gonna get this dance floor black, and then they start playing a bit like people used to always say to me in those times, like, yo, don't you think like the DJ's kind of dumbing it down? And certainly dudes did, right? You understand when you were packing your crates for a party, right? When you're packing your crates, whatever vibe you were in at your crib, packing your crates, and you might be just a bit more gutsy. You know what? I'm going to go here tonight. I'm going to take these records. You know, I don't care. But you pack 2 crates, maybe 2.5, 3 crates, and you play a 6-hour set and you're running out of records. Those riskier records or deeper records that you know, maybe you'd end up having to use them. And that whole scenario, like of having records at your fingertips and working a set that way is completely different than having everything at your fingertips and you're typing and searching, right? Like it's
Brother, man, I remember when I saw that the first time. I should be, man. It was like a little bit when after your residency with Andy's Pool, and I started seeing Sirius and all of these guys like with laptops on, and I'm just like, what the hell is that? I'm like, yo, the DJ era's done, like, you know what I mean? So
it was a beautiful thing. Like there's crazy, wicked things with technology that you could do, and instant doubles and stuff. Like, you know what I mean? Because like Serato, you have doubles of everything. You just load up on both sides, and you can cut and scratch. Where like people don't understand the grind, where you're trying to find the second copy of that famous breakbeat to go back and forth of. You know, like people, and you know nowadays with Shazam and like. Dude, we were DJs back then. You would literally like sometimes not know the name of a song for like 5-6 years. Yeah. Because it was not acceptable to go up to a DJ and be like, "What is this?" Yeah. Like you would just kind of, and then you finally find that song. Yeah. You know what I mean? It was a different thing. But I always say that the power shift though is when, because back in like like NASA times, you know, you would get the brand new records that came out on a Thursday night, like you know what I mean, and the new joints, and you would play them. And I was all about breaking records.
Yeah.
But cats, like you always had cats like yourselves at parties, so you could play a new record that the majority of the place didn't know, but you know the cats in the back.
Felt that energy.
You know, slapping the walls, and you as a DJ, you would literally see, the people that didn't know, like kind of look around, like I don't know what they like. You'd see their faces. I don't know what this song is, but those guys over there know what this song is. Oh fuck it, I'm gonna pretend like I know what the song is. Yeah, you know what I mean? There was like music lovers. Sorry, music lovers had the power. Like heads that knew had the power in those venues.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
And when we went, you know, technology and having stuff, and guys started taking less and less risks. You didn't want to go there in case you would lose your crowd for the smokers or whatever else. But then the dumber downs, the people that didn't know what was going on, started having the power. When the, you know, jiggy, more commercial movements and bottle service and all this stuff, those people started having the power in our venues. And it fucks shit up, man.
Yeah.
It fucks shit up.
Yeah. So there's one thing that I don't know if you know that you're known for it. I think the man probably could agree with me too. Is that you used to play like a hip hop song, and
when I was like, oh my gosh, they're taking this from somewhere else, was actually Big Daddy Kane, Smooth Operator, and it wasn't the Mary Jane's bass line that they used. It was the horns. It was Isaac Hayes' horns, which is from the Shaft soundtrack. My dad had the Shaft soundtrack, so as a kid, like the horns. And so at the time, at that time, like what was that? What year is that? 88, right?
Yeah, it's 88.
That came out with
I think so.
Smooth Operator.
So I was like,
Was it 89?
88, 89, around there, right?
Because 88 was the Half Steppin' album.
Oh, and then 89, he dropped the.
Yeah, so that's when I didn't even know the Mary Jane girls at that point in my life. I didn't know the bass line, right? Boom, ba-da, ba-da, boom, ba-dum, boom, boom, right? But then I heard those horns and I was like, that's wicked. And then when I found the Mary Janes and then they put those horns and they were in key on top of the Mary, I was like, that's crazy. I was like, people need to know that this is what they're doing. And so I was always about that. And I loved, like, from some of my first mixtapes were mixtapes of either all breaks or the hip-hop song mixing into the sample, into the original.
You are so right. He is actually one of the first guys. Him, Fase, and Rest in Paradise, my brother Sims.
Yeah.
Simba, like, they're the
Sims.
only guys I know.
I'd say Sirius, too. Sirius.
Yeah, Sirius is another dude, too.
Yeah. Actually, I know...
shout out, Sirius. You already know I love you, brother.
Sirius, yes.
Yeah, like Law said that one time. He's like, "Yo, before Serato, no DJs were playing. Like, you know, after Serato, a lot of guys started playing breaks because they could get them on the MP3s and stuff. But he's like, pre-Serato, it was Fase and Sirius. They were doing originals, you know.
Yeah, that is so true. Because I remember even going on shows with Sirius too. Like when we went on shows.
Oh, we went on tour.
He would do the breaks too.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely. No, he's a vinyl guy through and through. Yeah.
Yeah, you guys are actually the only guys I know for real at that.
Listen,
at that
but
time.
I'll also say this, like, not just because we were the guys we were playing it out and like for our generation, I met almost all my DJ heroes, my local DJ heroes, in used record shops from the age 15 to 18.
Play the record.
Not even play these, like the mom and pop, like used record stores. Like, and honestly, so my favorite hip hop memories in my life, my most vivid hip-hop memories are meeting guys that I looked up to in a record store. Just quickly introducing myself. Yeah. I can tell you the records I had in my hand. I can tell you what they said to me.
You're going into the other question, too. I was like, where was your favorite place to cop records?
It was everywhere. So, like, right around the time when I started DJing, like, right, I lived up, like, North York, borderline Scarborough, like, Don Mills, Vic Park, Ellesmere area, right? Mm-hmm. But I moved that same year that I got my turntables. My mom moved down to Yonge and Eglinton. Mm-hmm. So every day I was in a record store. Like getting off at Eglinton Station, there was Vortex Records upstairs, and that's where my first job was. Second Cup, which was underneath. So on my 15-minute, I'd work. So all through high school, I worked at a coffee shop from 5 to 2 a.m. I'd have 2 15-minute breaks in my shift, and I'd spend it digging for records right upstairs, right? There was another spot on Mount Pleasant in Eglinton, like close to North Toronto. That's the first place I met X. Vortex Records is the first place I met K-Cut. First place I met John Bronsky.
Okay.
Wow. Cops and Vortex on Queen was where first time I met Scam.
Yeah.
Toronto legends.
Yeah, like, and those, and like, I'll tell you this, man, like, these were guys that I looked up to DJ-wise, but they all gave me the time of day. They were super nice to me, and I was like a 15, 16 year, I met Kish at Vortex Records, and they were all, I met Paulie Lopez at Vortex Records.
Paulie, yeah.
They were all just like, they had influence on me, not just as a DJ, but as like a young man, because they were guys that I looked up to, and they treated me like, they remembered me the next time I saw them. They're like, oh yeah. And just because I was digging, like, I think it, you know, was a good way to get your foot in the door, because they knew you were like, they're like, you were looking for samples? And then they would always hip you to shit too. They'd be like, yo, track side 2, track B, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Sick.
Yeah.
So now, this huge career now is happening, and then I see you with Abs. Abs putting stuff out. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. I met Abs in around 97 at my first. Big
up abdominal.
Yes. My first residency at the Ivy Lounge. Mm-hmm. I think it was Vandal. I'd seen Abs and Decisive perform at a Planet Mars or something, and I liked Abs. I liked Abs' voice a lot. Like, I really.
Decisive.
Yeah, I really liked how it cut through. So I think it was Vandal was having one of his going away parties, because he was always a traveler, right? So Vandal ended up, I don't know if they knew I was DJing. I don't think they knew who I was, but they had his going away party at Ivy Lounge on a Friday, and I'm the resident DJ there. So they all came through, and they're there. And I was like, you know, and I didn't have much hip hop, but I was playing breaks, and they all dug it and everything. And Abs stuck around to the very end. And at the very end, he's like, yo, so, like, you must make beats, right? And I was like, yeah. And I actually had a cassette of a beat that I made that day. This is 97, and we didn't even toss it. We hooked up the cassette. The bar had a cassette deck, hooked it up, put it in, played it for him. He was like, "Yo, I dig this," and that song, that beat, became our first 12-inch in '99. Came out on vinyl like 2 years later in '99.
Was it okay? I could swear that's probably one of the ones that you gave us even at the Blueprint for Life thing.
Probably, yeah, because then that was 99. Yeah. So Vinyl Frontier was our first 12-inch, but it was that beat that I made the day that I met him.
Vinyl Frontier,
right?
Yes, man. Woo!
Yeah. So that came out on 12-inch in 99.
All produced by you?
All produced by me. Flip side was Fly Antics, which did really well overseas. UK people loved that. It got on some like ruckus comps over there, and and then fast forward 2-3 years. So right after that, we started working on the EP, and then 2002, the EP came out, Flotation Device, and it did well for us, man. We did well. Like, we were.
You guys did do well.
Yeah, we got to tour. We toured UK, Denmark, Sweden, all over. It was dope, man.
Yo, round of applause for that, man. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, bro.
Yeah,
man. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people think, you know, when you're into something, it has to stop right there, where, you know, it's just like if maybe your nights at DJing aren't doing so well, so then you just kind of stop, you know. But you decided to get into producing. You had a love for producing. It's been his passion. Before,
that was always the goal.
So then you hooked up with Abs, and then you guys created those 2 albums. So it's like, what are you planning on doing next now? What's your next?
Listen, because this is like a long time ago. I personally got frustrated because as I grew as a DJ, I wasn't great at balancing both. Like DJing was, you know, full-time gig for me, and just the process of organizing music, keeping up on music, everything took away from my time that I should have been and wanted to produce.
Yeah.
I did get frustrated for years. People still didn't understand that I produced. People thought I was just Abs' DJ.
Yeah.
They didn't understand. And I always felt like my talents were there. And I was naive too. Like I thought once I got my foot in the door, and I achieved most of my goals, like pretty much all my goals that I had set for myself by the time I was 22. Like I wanted to have a 12-inch. I wanted to have a radio show. I wanted to be working full-time as a DJ. And my goals were really kind of I didn't reevaluate and set higher goals. So I accomplished a lot of those goals, and I think I was naive. I thought a lot of things would just start rolling. And they did, but I didn't take the necessary steps to like take it to a higher level. So I I'm the king of sitting on stuff, dude. I got joints, like I have multiple incomplete albums. I got a joint with Rich Kid.
You got a couple joints.
Yeah, a couple joints. I got
Fault like Prince.
I got an unreleased joint with Master Ace. I got an unreleased joint with Edo G. I got a joint with Guilty.
Oh yeah.
Mr. Simpson.
So I always had, and I didn't take the necessary steps to just make this stuff and put stuff out. So that's my bad. For me, I became a father in 2005. That chilled. My last tour was 2007 with Abs, and at that point I knew like my son was 2. My son came on one of our tours actually. Right on, my son was like, he was at a show where we opened up for Kool Keith. Kool Keith was calling him the next P. Diddy. he was like 6 months old. I had him backstage.
Let's talk, since you mentioned Pharrell, let's talk about the balling.
Oh, word.
Boy can ball and the videos you put out and everything. Like, let's talk about that. Man.
Hey, man, that's like, yeah. So that kind of replaced like, I DJ'd well into.
I know you love basketball.
Yeah, basketball dude. I was ball crazy before kind of music took over. It really was, and my son's love for basketball reignited that in me, like completely. Like him as a 5-year-old, like watching Jordan videos and telling me stats about current NBA guys at 5-6 years old was something else. So it like and then so I got into coaching. He's had a passion ever since. He's still going strong.
Coach Fase.
Yeah, a little bit. Assistant coach. Film guy.
Right. No, I love the footage. You put me on it, you're like, yo, check Pharrell out. And I was like,
support their passion.
But absolutely, that's what it is. So yeah, so fatherhood, family life, definitely took.
She's right on cue. Go ahead, Faith. That happens here all the time in the lab.
It took, It definitely was a priority for me, but I was I was blessed because I was self-employed, working DJ. I spent my whole son's childhood. Like I would work nights and I would get up with him, either walking one time before he was in school, it was daddy daycare all day long, and then quick evening nap and then off to a gig. You know what I mean? They gave me that time, and then when he started school, walking to school every morning, out to 4 a.m. and up at 7. You know what I mean? Right. That was the grind, but I loved it, and I was very lucky. I homeschooled Pharaoh in grades 5 and 6, and then he started prep school in grade 7. He's a good kid, man. Real good kid. Very proud of him. He works hard. He works really, really hard, and even through this whole pandemic shit, he's been he's stayed the course, and he's putting his effort where it needs to be.
Does he have a love for the DJ?
Not DJing. Love for music, definitely. What's weird is I never pushed music on him at all. But he basically grew up coming to my radio show. Shout out Stylistic Crew, Stylistic Endeavors, Sirius, Sweet, Theo, Planet P, Sweet Touch. From 6 months, every Friday night, the radio show 8 to 10, Pharrell was with me from 6 months till he was like 12 years old. Right? I did that show for 16 years, and he grew up there. So back then it was kind of like whatever. Like I remember I took him to see that the Stretch and Bob doc. Yeah. And like he was with me at that, and he was kind of like, yeah, and like all people around were like, yo, he must love it. I'm like, this has been his life. Yeah. It's like this is how he grew up coming to a radio show like this.
That's how our kids are too, man.
Yeah,
my son's the same shit.
But my son, like he loves music now. He knows his stuff. Like he knows he's all up on the new stuff, and he knows his old school stuff. Like he's, like he has his own. There's 3 crates in his room that he pulls off but he'll tell me something like he's up. He's up on Doom. He's up on Wu-Tang. Yeah. He knows. Yeah. He can hold some conversations. He told me a story in grade 7. He was playing Crestwood Prep, so he was on the junior team. So it's grade 9s and 10s, and he's a grade 7 playing up with these guys, and they're on a bus, and they're heading to a game, and the bus driver puts on Nas Illmatic, puts on New York State of Mind, and the whole team is like, "What the fuck is this shit?" And he's like, rappers are monkey flipping with the funky rhythm I be kicking.
He's just going
And the bus driver's like, what?
It's in his blood. That's genetic.
Big up Pharaoh Nation, man.
That's
straight up.
Yes.
Man.
That is true.
Best friends. Me and him, best friends.
Yeah, man.
For sure.
You know what I also wanted to ask? Based on, because I know I was for some other DJs too. Like were you ever into like one of those DJs that was ever into like the battles?
I loved going. Like I went to all the battles.
To the DMCs and the
everything. Like me. Actually, you know what? I didn't shout out. I was talking about high school days. Like DJ Ritz, and I came up together. He was at my high school. Like I was with Ritz when he bought his turntables in grade 10. I met Ritz in grade 10. He came to my high school in grade 10. I already had my turntables. And Taboo, Edson, Life of the Party.
Edson, yes.
Those are my homies from grade 10 on. So Ritz, Edson, and I would go to all the DJ battles. I'll tell you, like a battle that came up when you had Grouch on was the Zulu Nation battle at Zubar. That battle, that was 93. That was my 16th birthday. It was July 16th, 93.
Yeah, that's right, because he did say that in the timeline when he was talking about. Yeah, okay, wow.
So and like I said at the time,
saw that right there.
I was like, front row that whole and I had to work at Second Cup at 6 a.m. the next morning. So I watched Grouch win the battle. Yeah. I went home, slept a few hours, got up, and I woke up, and there was this one spot in my kitchen where I could get 105.5, and then Grouch was on the radio at 5:30 in the morning after he won the battle the night before, and I was going to work, and I was like, this guy
we used to go straight there sometimes.
Yeah.
Because we knew he would be on in the morning.
Yeah.
Right after jam, we would go straight to 105.5.
Yeah.
Stop
absolutely.
by a Golden Griddle or something.
Big up Grouch, because I love those, like all those battles, those early battles. I was at the ITF Western Hemisphere in New York City when Turnstiles won. Never competed. I could
was
do.
that ever a thing for you? Like
it was. I had.
Because I know, like for us, like I know some people they say, "Yo, you weren't a dancer unless you battled this person." So I wanted to know, like, because I know Grouch was a battler. If he was ready, like he could get into that zone when he was ready. Like he would sit there. Like I remember down in the basements in Scarlettville. But I mean, like, was that ever a thing that you felt that was like a rite of passage for you? Like,
absolutely. I think I lacked some confidence in my like, because seeing those guys, because I could never cut. Like to me, Grouch's cuts they're picture perfect. It's like it's feel good. You know what I mean? So I would cut and scratch, but I could not juggle on a level that I thought I was ready to compete with those guys. Like I was just being around and seeing those guys that were doing it, and I knew my skills as a DJ. Like I could catch a vibe, I could rock a party, I could read a room, you know what I mean, and I could blend and mix with anything. Those were my strengths, so that's where I went. So but early on, like I did like, want to put routines together and stuff, but never. I mean, I think I have one battle to my credit, which is not like a turntablist battle, it was more of a party rocking battle. Law and I battled, and I kicked his ass.
Yeah. So Law, when you come out here, you can tell
shout out to Law.
So Law, when you come out here, you can tell us how you got your ass.
Shout out to Law, man.
Big up Law.
Right.
But yeah, I'm still waiting. I was some Montreal promoter that did that, and I was supposed to get a belt and everything, and then I never got it.
Okay, so love of hip hop. We always ask us, like favorite MC.
Favorite MC has been Pharaoh Monch from time.
Ooh, Pharaoh guy. Hey, yeah.
My son's name is Pharaoh.
Yeah,
so,
yeah,
you know
right,
what I mean?
Straight, yeah.
Yeah, like I was always an organized confusion guy.
What do you think about the new shit that he put out? Did you listen to that new shit that he put out?
Yeah.
That new shit, was it 13?
That's what brought
13.
OC. A lot of people forget that, man.
Yeah, they do.
Pharaoh's a pioneer in the lyricism game. Like, people forget that.
I didn't know he was asthmatic till like maybe 5 or 6 years ago. I didn't know he was.
I'm shaping your brain like pottery.
Yeah.
Dude, Pharaoh's ill, man. Pharaoh's ill, bro. He's ill. You know another cat that came up under Pharaoh was who I really dug, who is like would be super underrated, is Mr. Complex came up under Pharaoh, and I like Complex, like he's just like unique and off the wall. Like I liked MCs like that,
Yeah.
I mean, other, like, I don't know, you want more guys that?
Well, okay, what would your top 5 be then?
I mean, top 5 is Rakim, no particular order. Rakim, Pharaoh, Nas, I want to throw in some not too commonly mentioned.
Yeah. So who's threw you left on, and you were like, oh, I love this.
I like Breezy Bruin from Juggernauts. Do you remember Breezy Bruin? Do you remember Juggernauts?
Whoa, that's 90s, man.
Yeah,
he's going.
That's indie shit. That's real indie shit.
Yeah.
I also like back. Like I love Casual. I love like Fear Itself album is still one of my. To me, is hands down the best Hyro record. It's the best Hyro record.
Hieroglyphics.
I like, I can't say I'm huge in Hyro, but like Casual's first album to me is like just.
I was a big Saphir fan. Like,
oh, Saphir, absolutely. Yeah, dude, Light Sleeper. Light Sleeper. That's what Abs put me on. Light Sleeper acapella. Like just listening to the acapella of Light Sleeper.
Yeah, it was insane.
Yeah.
Really dope, man.
Yeah,
man. It's just, so now. From now when you've done all this now, like and I was saying from before, you have any future ideas of what you plan on doing? Like, are you gonna do any? What do you think about like the Twitches and all that, and the DJing live on Zoom and all that stuff? Because a lot of people still look out for you. People are like, yo, where's Fase?
I struggle with it, man. I honestly like. I feel like. It's funny because after Zoom started really picking up, and then when the pandemic hit, and I was for the first time not DJing a lot at all, and I needed a creative outlet, so I put a mix together. I was doing these series of B-sides, like all like rare '90s B-sides and remixes. So I put together Volume 4, and it was like a huge 4-hour mix.
You give me Volume 1 and 2, am I correct?
1, 2, and probably 3. I took like a 3-year break.
Those were,
If you didn't get 4, you got to get 4.
I didn't get 4.
Because they all connect, right? So it's like, if you put all 4 of them, it's over 10 hours.
B-sides?
Okay, I'll send you guys links.
Yeah.
So I put up Volume 4, and like right when I did it, and I gave dudes a download link, I was like, and then everyone was on Twitch, and I was like, am I like prehistoric? Is this not a thing anymore? Like, do you not don't you
feeling kind of Neanderthal right now?
I did, and then I logged on to some guy's Twitch, and I was like, yo, what are they talking about? Bits and what is this? I mean, it was a different world, and I big up everyone that's making it work for them. I I big up Agile. I talked to him quite a bit.
And he's like the king of the green
He's
screen.
doing it, man, and it's great.
Yeah, big up to Agile.
Brass Monk family.
Absolutely. I feel like it's not for me. I mean, I got other things going on. I've managed to stay self-employed, and I got some businesses going on that are taking a lot of my time. Mm-hmm. So I honestly don't have the time to do it. I don't know if when I made the last mix I did, like I needed that. Like I needed that's the one thing you kind of take for granted for years is like you always, how often ever you're DJing, whether it's 2, 3, 4 times a week, it's a creative outlet to just get loose. And I miss that, like,
letting go.
Deeply miss that. That, and I miss being around music lovers.
Yeah.
Like that's a vibe. Like I just miss being around people that appreciate, music or getting put on to new music. But that, like when you DJ, like I DJ'd, man, it's a long time now, 27 years.
Pound on, baby.
And you still ain't done.
I'm not done. I'll never be done. I'm always a DJ. I'm always a DJ for sure. But like later on, like when you're doing stuff, and like I was always about breaking records, and breaking records got harder and harder.
You did an amazing job.
You have to, but like you always like I miss those moments when people come up to you and like, yo, what the hell is this? This is amazing. And those became less and less just because how people are used to hearing the music and continue. You know what I mean?
Like me and Troubles have you like down.
Yeah, it all
like notch for bomb first.
It always depends on the
Cool J and Funk Master Flex. Like be like, yo, when Fase used to run that instrumental, he used to play the lyrics. You'd run the instrumental. I mean, go crazy.
Remember stop right now, stopping, turning around and looking at Fase and going right to him and giving him a 5 right over the thing. Be like, yo, what the hell? Like, yo, where'd you get that?
Those are the times, man. It's a beautiful thing, man, when you can but I miss that for sure. So I can't see myself doing Twitch anytime soon. Mm-hmm. I will always I have to throw out some mixes there and there, but I'm not super huge on social media, and I don't like throwing talking that talk and pushing it out there on people.
Yeah.
Twitch.
Oh, you know what?
Yes, Rich. Tell them nothing.
Don't worry, man. We're gonna pull it out of Phase before this year's over. We're pulling something out of Phase, brother. Before this year's over, we're gonna make social media know who Phase is to us and the rest of the
Don't worry,
world.
we got Rich Kid on here too. He's gonna tell us what's up.
And my man Rich Kid in the back, brother.
We're gonna talk
love, baby.
We're gonna talk about production and all the shit too, and dancing because y'all didn't know.
Yeah.
Did you? Yeah, that's one thing. Did you in any other elements of the hip hop elements? Did you ever dabble in any other elements than
graffiti a bit? I was tagging and I did some pieces. I was never great. I never had anyone to kind of
bombing on the streets and
stuff.
Yeah,
I did. I bombed some walls. Did some late night flexes. did my fair share of illegal business. You know what I mean?
The creek areas.
I be seeing different graphs all around the place. I'm like, how do you guys get away with that without white seeing it?
Yeah, I know.
I'm still amazed. I love when I see ones where it's how did they just get that there? There's one, if you're going up the DVP right now, on one of the huge cement things, the guy either rappelled down and did his letters, or you know what I mean? Dude,
and you gotta time that before the police get there and all that shit.
Get up there and spray paint.
Yeah,
you know.
But I loved the whole graffiti culture. I taught myself, read books and everything early.
Okay.
Didn't dance. Yeah, I mean most people don't. I was in my early teens, right?
Yeah.
13, 14, 15.
Yeah.
But b-boying, I always loved it. Again, watched tons of videos. Never, you know what I mean? I was early '80s. I was exposed to b-boying, but I didn't. It wasn't until I moved to Toronto in '84. I was 7 years old, and it wasn't until I was at my boys' building and into the laundry room, and there's dudes breaking. I knew
laundry room. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Oh, you were a Toronto housing kid. That's original.
Yeah. Anywhere you can find a space, let's go laundry room.
Of course. Right in the hallway where the elevators would be.
Yeah. I do recall, I knew, because at that point, there was the commercialization of breaking, but then when I saw that and they were breaking to the message, Melly Mel, I was like, okay, this computed and made sense.
Yeah.
It made sense. But yeah, it was I did a little back then, but nothing serious. But I always was a Four Elements guy, man. I always respected it.
Yeah.
Always.
That's dope. That's dope, man. Yeah, man. Because it's always good to know. We've known you for so long, and these are in this interview and documenting this. These are some things that I didn't even know. You know what I mean? Man, and it's a beautiful thing. And the reason why we're doing this is because you're a very important part to the growth of not just us dancers in the community,
to the scene,
period.
To the scene, period.
That Tuesday night put so many people in the right.
It built that next generation of dancers in the scene. To me, you gave
hands down.
You gave us a hub. You gave all the dancers, and some people do not realize this, that you gave a lot of the dancers the next hub to be at. And shout out to Tariq, man. Shout out to Tariq for even helping to spawn that movement at Nassau first with Phase, man. Shout out to you, brother.
Because
love you always.
People would say to me, when we bring people there, they'd be like, yo, this is, you guys actually, people from out of town, even from the States, be like, yo, this is.
Do you remember the night?
This is our night. This is your night. And I was like, yeah, Phase is.
Just to show you something special, that if you remember the night, and I think I still have it on tape. It was the night we're at Nassau. Those guys came in, Danny Masterson.
Yeah.
And they what's that dude from Save the Last Dance? No, not Save the Last Dance. That little black dude, man, came. They were filming that Dracula movie here. And they ended up showing at Comfort Zone at one of our Blueprint parties, and they said, "Yeah, we'll be at Nassau." They were like, "Yeah."
Danny Matheson used to come. Yeah. Ed Norton passed through there a bunch of times.
Yeah.
Queen Latifah came through. There was a night Ad Rock was there, and no one knew. He was in Nassau, put it up, because I was hanging with Super Dave West, who produces De La Soul. He had his wife at the time, in-laws were from Scarborough, so he would come up here. He searched me out because he had heard of me, and we became pretty tight, and he'd come through. And he was the one, he was in Nassau with me, and he knew Ad Rock because they had done a joint with De La.
Yeah.
And he was like, yo, you know that's Ad Rock. And he just blended right in with all the other white boys that were in there. People had no idea. He was like in the
camera, brother.
He was in there dancing and everything.
It just froze again.
It's okay, but you can come like this. You stand right in front of that bad boy. Yeah. No, it was like gems. It was like people would come through and you didn't even know, and it was all because of the music.
Yeah. Ed Norton bought a mixtape off me.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah.
That's dope. Crazy.
Yeah, because weren't they filming that time when Ed Norton was here? Weren't they?
The Hulk.
Yeah, that's right.
I was in the.
That's right.
I was in the
fighting scene.
Yeah,
was that
but
with
I was doing a
Abomination?
But when they did the explosions on Yonge Street, I was in like the light stunt work. I ran through a few explosions, like pretty little set things with me and JJ and all those guys.
Yeah. That was 2008.
Yeah,
that movie came out.
Yeah, they shot it all on Yonge Street. I remember.
I remember when
Sam the Record Man shot right there.
Yeah, that's right. That's the last Sam the Record Man shot right there.
Yeah.
Did you ever go to Sam?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that whole strip, man. You every Thursday, man.
Right.
Every Thursday, man. You either get off college, come down, or Dundas and go up, man. It's one or the other, man. But I miss those record store vibes for sure, man.
Yeah.
You know.
So now, if there's one thing that you could bring back, right? Of all the things that you did, what would be the one thing that you wish you could bring back?
What do you mean, like
making more music with Abs, or doing another night, just dreaming in a sense, where something in the past that was going well and that you're not doing now.
If you could time travel,
what would you bring back?
You could time travel.
That's tough. Yeah, I mean those type, like a night that's like, one thing that I'm very thankful of is like a lot of my nights were like long lasting.
Very.
Right?
Yeah.
Right, like you got, Tuesdays was 10 years.
Yep.
Alto Basso was a good 5. Mm-hmm. I did Supermarket Saturdays for 8 years.
Oh yeah, wow.
Edumacation that turned into Stuck on Stupid. That was 14 years at Drake Hotel.
Right.
A lot of people don't, you know what I mean? So, and when you're in those moments,
because remember we did the birthday party and that was a crazy night.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Education was a good party, and then, like, and it spanned different eras too, right? Like, but yeah, I definitely miss those times when it's just like a party's there, established, going strong, and you just enjoy it, So it would, it's scary now to think, like, because who knows when stuff's coming back, and it sucks for all us DJs and performers and everyone that, can just go and enjoy, but also was able to make some money from it. But it's
because now it's like it's going right into that. How are you dealing with this whole?
I'm lucky because I always, even when I got into my 40s, DJing was slow in a touch, but I was fine with it. I always have multiple streams of income. I dabble some real estate and some property management, and I have some other companies. So as DJing died pretty much completely for me because of the pandemic, one of my other businesses really took off. So I'm very, very lucky in that sense. So I'm good. But I fear for the next generation. Like, I don't know what they're looking at, and I don't know how guys are gonna, it's great that Twitch is working out for a lot of guys, and that's an avenue for them. But like, when things get back, I can't see the money being the same, because venues or capacity and this and that's all gonna change stuff. So it's scary.
And venues are gone.
Yeah, they're dying off. It's too hard. So it's strange, man. Touring, you know what I mean? I don't know. I've been long past touring. I also got to shout out Pocket Dwellers. I did my first 2 full Canadian. I did my first 2 full Canadian tours with the Dwellers, and they showed me what it was like to be on the road. Pure cross country, like every, you know what I mean? This country's big. But that prepped me for when Abs and I were touring in the UK, which is a whole lot easier because Here you're looking at a 10-hour drive in a van,
yeah.
or a 12-hour drive in a van,
places, yeah.
and like we literally argue with like booking agents like in the UK, being like, "Oh, it's too far, man. It's 3-hour drive. You don't want to go that far." No, we want to go that far. You know, but 45-minute train rides to stop in the UK is a beautiful thing, right?
Yeah, exactly. Right.
But
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, that's dope, man. Yo, Fase is dropping mad gems. A lot of history.
Man, Fase, you've, like, first of all, I just want to say as I don't even consider myself a friend. I consider myself family. Because I look at you as somebody that's been there, like one of the foundations, a good person to me. I've been, you know, we've had our good moments always together.
Absolutely.
And it's always been blessed out of this music that brought us together, this vibe of, you know, the elements that brought us together. I wanted people to know that you're one of the most important pieces of hip-hop that I consider in the hip-hop culture, a strong piece that people needed to know about.
Gotta give them the flowers.
And I'm so honored.
Hey, likewise.
Brother, I am so honored to have you here. Believe it, man. It's like honored to have you here. Like it's a blessing. Yeah. You get flowers and the crown.
Yeah, baby.
Flowers and the huge crown, man. Like,
Appreciate it, man.
Like, believe it, man.
It's a beautiful thing, though. This is what hip hop, like, you know, was meant to do. Bring like minds together. Bring, you know, it's really what it's given all of us is, you know. Can't even, it's unspeakable, man. It's
brother, that night raised my level. That shit changed the whole like dance community in a sense where it was like we have another few guys that are coming up that want to interview you too about that night, because it was such a night that it got spoken about internationally.
Yeah.
Like people would call us and be like, "Yo, we're coming to town. Is that Tuesday night thing happening?"
Yeah. Andy's pool hall still going on. I even had guys in my neighborhood. Yo, the Andy's pool hall going on the Tuesdays. Like, yo, I want to reach down there, man. Yeah.
Dude,
you guys just be careful when you come down. Don't come with your bullshit.
Yeah. No, but
don't come with your bullshit.
And I don't want to just staple you to that.
Yeah,
you've done so many
good.
Amazing things. Like as people know, there's this interview. But it was like something that I was just like, yo, I sat back and looked at it and I was like, yo, holy shit. Like that was such an important part of our building our structure as dancers, because like I said, it was a hub. There's nowhere to go when you don't really have the income to.
You gave us that place
to have something where you can bring on all your friends. And you have to have money.
Man.
You know what I mean?
That was always the goal. I didn't want to. I never want. People were like, "Why don't you charge cover?" I was like, "I don't want to charge cover, man. I want people to come
and it's free.
Yeah, it was free.
It was
walk
free.
in.
You gave us a place to go. Honestly, I mean, even when I sit there and I think about it, even for me and him, growing up and dancing like in a tight little bedroom.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Me, him, and his
even
brother.
Though it made the skills tight because you
we came up with some creative ideas, but like you gave us a place that one time, like, you know,
it was home to us.
You know, that outside, like, because there was a time right in the 90s, that late part of the 90s, going into the 2000s. They didn't allow certain brothers to like start dancing in the club and getting down.
Yeah.
Once you saw a circle coming in, the bouncers are coming in.
Bouncers coming. What's going on?
Guys, you can't do that right now. Like, what do you mean? Like, we're just dancing. Nah. But like, even at our own performances, like we've experienced that. So we appreciate you, brother.
It's
for
mutual,
like
man.
giving us a spot where we can actually.
I can speak for the community. We're definitely grateful for that, for what you do.
Man.
I always knew it was important. I always wanted B-boys at my events, you know what I mean? And I have a memory, like, I was young, but it was some spot in Chinatown upstairs, and the lineup was in the stairs, and Grouch was DJing. It's before I knew Grouch, before I knew you. But Grouch came down, so the stairway, so the lineup of everyone on one side, and he came down the stairs, and he pulled you out and brought you up. And I knew who you were, and I knew who Grouch was, and I was like, that's what it's about, man. You gotta pull the dancers in. You gotta pull the dancers in.
Yeah.
And it always stuck in my mind, but I was like, yes, man, you have to You know what I mean? Like
that wasn't Latvian Hall, was it? No.
No.
Right.
That
sounds so familiar.
Yeah, but it's not Latvian Hall.
It sounds so familiar.
I think Too Swift did a night there years later. Like they had some party like Big Trouble in Little China. Something like that.
It was the round. I think it was the round. Yeah, was it the round beside the boat?
No,
that wasn't the round.
No, it was like it was on. I think it was on Spadina.
It's on Dundas and Spadina. Big Trouble in Little China. It's the second.
Oh yeah.
Big
lineup. Yeah. You're right.
But I think maybe Souls of Mischief performed there one time. It might have been that. It might have been that.
That's actually where they did perform. Souls of Mischief.
You're
right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. A lot of staples, man.
But yo,
notches on your belt, brother. Giving you your flowers. Make some noise for DJ Fase on
Big crown, brother. For real.
Thank you, guys.
Salute.
So you got any last words? We always let people say their last. You know what I mean?
And it's never your last word, but it's a word to share on for infinite.
Exactly. There you go. That's what it is.
Man. I feel very lucky that I was able to, make a career out of something I love, right? And it wasn't really particularly planned. It just was like, I love doing this. Oh, I'm making some money. I can buy some more records.
Yeah.
Oh, I can pay my rent. Oh, I can, and it's important for anyone to know that you can do this, and it creates an existence for yourself that you can be really proud of. And I appreciate the love, for sure.
Yeah,
I absolutely do. Those B-side mixes, man, you can get them online.
Yo, those are crazy.
Man. Tell them where they're catching them, brother.
The Stylistic Mixcloud. So Stylistic with a K, 895 on Mixcloud. They're all 4 of them are on there. There's links. You can download them.
So give them your gram and everything. Hit them up right now.
Actually, I mean, I haven't been on Gram for a while. My son has a Gram that I think you guys might have tagged.
Hit him up.
No, well, I don't even know his Gram. Yeah, he has one. He has a Gram that's DJ Fase Lost Records where he posts pics.
I've seen the DJ Fase Lost Records.
He posts pics from my record collection.
Big up to Young Pharaoh, brother.
Yeah.
Love you, son.
I don't know what his b-ball Gram is, but anyways.
Send it to me and I'll add it to all the links to the episode.
Yeah.
Because you can watch our links on YouTube, because I post all the episodes on YouTube as well.
Yeah.
And I'll give everybody a hard copy. So yeah, man, that's dope.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah,
Fase. Yeah.
Appreciate it, fellas.
Oh, thank you so much.
Oh.
7 Shades.
7 Shades Lounge.
Yes.
Element Show once again.
And then once you just hit X, you don't have to.